Everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by SoundCloud Studios, brought to you by our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Moses Missing. Also brought to you by Illumniptical, the think tank of the future. The Sweet Song is by Serena Wagner, based on the life of David, now on Amazon and High 10 Music. Check our latest at high10music.com. We're here with terrific gentleman, who's a Chicago-based singer, songwriter, and also a nerd and retired superhero with a great story to tell. And he's a multi-award winning do-it-yourself solo music artist, also multi-instrumentalist, book author, comic book fanatic, and also radio show host, and a poet and a part-time spy. And what is that about? We'll talk about that. He's a proud supporter of various charities, and he's also began his career with writing lyrics in the fourth grade and nominated for over 57 awards since beginning his musical journey. Live, ladies and gentlemen, plus twos in beautiful downtown Chicago, the Chicago-based singer, songwriter, and a retired superhero with a story to tell. And basically, he's got a couple of albums out, which also turns into books, which turns into videos and a poem, and does it every month. Ladies and gentlemen, the multi-talented Sarantos from MTS Records. Sarantos, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, it's great to have you on board as well, too. You're a Chicago-based singer, songwriter. You're also a nerd and retired superhero with a great story to tell. You're a multi-award winning do-it-yourself solo music artist. You're a multi-instrumentalist, book author, comic book fanatic, radio show host, and a poet and a part-time spy. You're a proud supporter of various charities, and you also began career writing in the fourth grade, and you're also nominated for over 57 awards since beginning your musical journey. And we have a couple of songs we're going to play as well too at the end. You'll got some books by the same titles. And before getting all that, tell us how I first got started.
I always just had this passion for words, from a little kid. My family listened to a lot of music, so I got the bug very young. We would sing, we would dance, American, Greek music. It was always there. And when I used to work in my dad's restaurant, I loved lyrics. I loved writing. And I would write stories, I'd write all sorts of stuff, TV shows, movies, poems, anything I could, but music was just it was just it for me from a little kid. It was just something I always did. I did on the side. I did any chance I could get. It was just like an unspoken language, and we bonded and fell in love, I guess. That was the story.
And was it one precise moment that simply influenced you into what you're doing for the rest of your career?
So my story is a little different in that I I always did it. I always wrote lyrics, but I was too, part of me was afraid to do it for real. Part of me was back then, the time was, when people would ask you, what'd you want to do? And you'd say, oh, if you ever said anything with the arts, anything musical, I want to be a rock star, they'd look at you like, what are you crazy? Like, what do you really want to do? So the correct answer back then was, oh, I want to be a lawyer, a doctor, and you basically were not almost allowed to do that. You couldn't tell people, yeah, I want to move to, LA and I want to pursue music or New York. So part of me had this fear to kind of do it. And when I was in high school, I was trying to start garage bands with all my friends. I had a friend that played the guitar. I would always, it just nobody ever would. I wasn't around people that had the same passion I did for music. So it kind of just got pushed to the side. I went through college. I went through professional school after that. I had this career. I kept writing. I kept writing all those years. And then really what pushed me was when my dad died. So my
Oh,
dad
sorry.
had lung cancer twice. And when he died after his second bout, he suffered for about, many years. And after he died, I mourned. And probably about a year after that, I said, I don't want to be on my deathbed and never give this a shot. Everybody's going to think I'm crazy because I'm not 18. But you know what? I'm going to keep my family life. I'm going to keep my friends. I'm not going to move to LA or New York, and I'm going to do this. And I have a lot to learn. I didn't go to music school. I didn't. I've written lyrics, but even that, I never studied for it. So I started this really long, arduous process. And of course, when I released my first song, I thought I was going to be an overnight sensation. Everyone's going to love me. And that didn't happen. And then the second song and the third song. And I quickly realized that if you throw some marketing dollars on things, you can get some followers and you get some traction, a bunch of listeners. But I quickly realized that I just had a lot of work to do. I wanted to get rabid fans. And I read Steve Martin's book, be so good they can't ignore you. And instead of like, I think a lot of musicians or people in the arts, they think, people don't understand me. They don't get it. You need $1 million, $2 million to market your song. And if you don't spend that, that's why you don't get a hit. And I never really bought that. I said, my stuff's not good enough. My lyrics, my vocals, my songwriting. And I probably about 8 years ago started songwriter lessons with Jai Josephs out in San Francisco. He's very accomplished. He was at the tail end, kind of retired. He just kept teaching and slowly learned. I learned to play the piano. I learned chords. I learned how to read music. I learned,
Wow. Okay.
rhythm. I learned, then I learned melody. So I just kept learning. And I think it's been great for my brain. Learn to mix, learn to do everything myself. So as that's kind of happened the last couple years, especially my songwriting, my music, my vocals have kind of taken off and I feel much more confident. So that's kind of my short story.
And of course, you mentioned about the $1 million, $2 million as well. Don't follow Taylor Swift's lead. I'm telling you that. So,
I totally respect what Taylor's done in terms of she had her vision, she worked her ass off. People might give her shit and say, "Oh, she was rich and she came from a rich family." She was super nice to people. She did so many interviews, and I respect what she's done. I mean, I've been doing this now going into my 12th year, and I hope people understand when they listen to some stuff, my first year, my fourth year, there's a story there. And you can certainly listen to about a third of the songs I put out and be like, what the heck was that? Like,
mhm.
God, that sucks. So I think hopefully they respect the story and you just keep coming at people and you keep getting better. That's what I've tried to do. And I think that's what she's done. She's at the top of the game. I fantasize about playing at Soldier Field or some stadium with 60, 80,000 people. Who doesn't want to do that? So I can't say anything bad about her, man. I think she's earned everything she's gotten.
And of course, you can sing at the United Center in honor of Michael Jordan on the back of your picture there. So,
Right. Yeah, the 90s were a great time for us Chicagoans. And hopefully now we got the Bears are going to start kicking some butt. Hopefully we have a good team coming for the next decade. But I'm a diehard Chicago fan. So
mhm.
Cubs, Sox, even the White Sox, had a terrible year this year. And but the Cubs, Blackhawks, Bulls, Bears, I'm a diehard.
And that's certainly indeed as well too for all the sports fans out there. And of course, you did some songwriting work with a songwriter. And who are some of your favorite singers, songwriters, and musicians for you growing up?
Growing up, I loved Survivor. I'm essentially an 80s child, so Survivor, Def Leppard, even Michael Jackson, Queen. I mean, I had a very diverse set of influences. Vocally, all those vocalists, even George Michael. So I think a little bit of everything, Air Supply. So, a very wide variety there, REO Speedwagon. So that was my initial influence. Modern influences. I have a huge Ed Sheeran man crush. Love Taylor Swift, Shawn Mendes. Just there's so many great songwriters nowadays, even what Justin Bieber did. So I think a lot of people like to criticize and say, "Oh, well, that guy partnered with that guy and he wrote all his music, or he wrote." At the end of the day, I think there's a lot to the puzzle, and I think some people are great at melody, some people are great at lyrics, some people are great at playing the guitar, some people but that's what prosody is. You put it all together. You could have great music, you could have great lyrics, but the magic happens when you put them together. So I think it's special to do that. And if you look at hit songs nowadays, they have 6, 8 huge producers and everybody's sharing credit. So I can't fault them for that. If I had made it, or if I could get, Ed Sheeran and 6 other hit songwriters to write with me, of course it's going to be even better than what it is, because I think as I've come along my journey, I realize one little change to the chorus, one little tweak to the verse, and it goes from being good to great. And that's really what I think a lot of people don't realize. You might be a songwriter and be like, oh, nobody streams my stuff, nobody listens, it's kind of mid. But again, if you keep honing your craft and you keep learning from the greats, from the number one hits, um, you can get there. And it doesn't when I first started, I thought I'm inspired. Here's this song. It's phenomenal. But then I realized it's all about editing. Anything you do, the books you write, the everything, it's all about editing. It's like you get the initial inspiration, but then you got to edit it. You got to make it even better, even better. And the best thing you could do is ignore it, not listen to it or read it for like a month, and then go back to it. Because when you go with a fresh set of ears or eyes, a lot of times there are things I've written that I'm like, this is fantastic. I love this. A month later, I'm like, what was I thinking? This is terrible. And I
It
think
happens to the
that
best
fresh
of us.
perspective, yeah, that fresh perspective helps. And again, I can't, if you have collaborators or confidants that are hit songwriters or book authors that you could say, hey, can you listen to the song? Tell me what you think. Um, Again, that helps you hone your craft, and they have their own unique set of influences and say, hey, that bridge doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Well, it's the tense is wrong. You're talking about this tense, and now there you went So I think as you keep doing this, the biggest mistake people make is they quit way too early. And you got to keep going.
And I think that's really important too. Of course, you've got some books yourselves. You got songs that are tied into books and songs tied into videos, songs tied into poems and everything. You do it every month. You also won some awards. Well, talk about a couple of songs with amazing Sarantos from Chicago. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by SonicWeb Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. SonicWeb Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today 1 800 303 3960. That's 1 800 303 3960 or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give an official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those who love be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has got great reviews. And Eve 11 endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Jack, Joy Cassie, Forrest Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Illumniptically, think tank of the future, bringing scientists and engineers together from all over the world, creating a method to construct a renewable generator. This unique product operates on a closed loop system, generating more energy internally than it needs to function. The X electricity can be used to run everything from homes, power grids, phones, laptops. This power source is renewable, highly scalable, and most importantly, self-regenerating. Visit facebook.com/Illumniptical today. That's ELLUMENIPTICAL today. Also, Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Sweet Summits by Serena Wagner, based on the life of David, including 30 exquisite paintings and songs written by King David himself. The Sweet Psalms gives a new perspective of David through the Psalms he wrote and his time as a shepherd where it started, and his complicated yet turbulent relationship with King Saul. It's a story of love, hope, repentance, betrayal, and more. Check out the Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner on Amazon. Keyword Sweet Psalmist Serena Wagner. Also brought to you by Hi-Tan Music for the smash hit Baby Comeback and new music coming soon. Visit hightanmusic.com today. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, 40 podcast platforms, heard 100 countries. Take us with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to all the platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Spreaker, and more. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies, makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. If you're interested in merchandise, email me to the Mike Wagner Show at gmail.com. Also, check out the Me and Molson CEO store on Amazon for great books, great merchandise, and more. And support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, the MikeWagnerShow.com. Coming soon, Missing 2 by me and Molson Zia. Double the action and double the fun. We're here with the amazing Chicago-based singer, songwriter, nerd, and retired superhero with a story to tell. The amazing Sarantos here on the Mike Wagner Show, multi-award winning DIY solo artist, and you also had some music as well. You've got a pledge, new music, a video, book, poem every month. And let's start off with Rock the Vibe.
Yeah, that was a great song. I remember that. So to answer your initial thing there, I wanted to always give something to the fans. And when I first started, I actively involved the fans and said, hey, what do you want to see? And back then I used to do a funny video of the month. Then I evolved and said, hey, when the song comes out on the first Tuesday of the month, I'm going to do a lyric video, and then a music video the second Tuesday. And then I thought it'd be very unique to write a book, a chapter based on every song. And, it's a fiction fantasy book, and it gets put together as a book released every November. And so I tried a bunch of different things. In the last couple of years, I added a poem in the fourth Tuesday of the month. So I want fans to never get bored. So I always try to put something new out there every week, basically. So that's kind of how that came about. And Rock the Vibe was a pretty cool song. I think it came out about 7, 8 years ago. And I was just I was out once. I was out at a concert, and I just got this tune in my head, rock the vibe, rock to feel alive. And it just kind of is a cool little song, cool little rock song. So that's what I remember about it.
And plus, you also did Happy New Year, Cross That Line, Not Where I Want to Be, Close Your Eyes, Pain of the Past, and You're Smiling. Tell us more about those and what inspired you to write them.
Yeah. So Not Where I Want to Be was the very first song I put out. So it's a song I wrote basically on the eve of my 30th birthday.
Oh, happy
So
birthday.
yeah, well, yeah, back then.
Back then, yeah.
So
So,
yeah. So Not Where I Want to Be was basically, I always thought, we talked a little bit about my story, and I think, in your 20s, you're always like, all right, it's not too late. Hey, I'm still going to be a rock star. I'm doing this, I'm going to school, and hey, I have a job, but I still want to be a rock star. And it was like, it hit me, I'm turning 30 tomorrow. That's a line in the song. And I was like, oh my God, my 20s are gone. Those young formative years where you're like, I could be anything, and you're physically at the top of your peak, and then after 25 you physically start to diminish a little bit. So I was really sad and depressed for my 30th birthday. I took it hard. So I figured it was really appropriate for that to be the first song I ever released. So that song's very special to me.
mhm. Especially with Close Your Eyes, Pain of the Past, and also Your Smile as well.
Yeah. Pain of the Past, what I remember about that song is I think we all have memories of our past, and sometimes we're haunted by them. Sometimes we make mistakes. I like to tell people I've made more mistakes than anybody I know. So I think the pain of the past, the past haunts me. And even to this day, even though I'm a little older and more mature, and I feel like I've learned to deal with almost all the crap that's happened to me in my life, I still remember some of the mistakes I made, and they haunt me. They hurt. Again, I'm not a perfect person. I've hurt others, not physically, but emotionally. And I think there's a little bit of sadness to that. And I think the past is a teacher, but at the end of the day, none of us are perfect. And I think we should not pretend to be.
And that's very true as well, too. And of course, more of your songs in just a minute. I mean, you've been a multi-instrumentalist. And of course, you've been a book author. You talk about some of the books, comic book fanatic, radio show host, poet, and a part-time spy. And basically being a book author, who's some of your favorite authors and writers growing up?
So I think, in high school, I had to read Edgar Allan Poe and all these, famous authors, and I didn't have anybody outside of that. As I've gotten older, Stephen King is great. J.K. Rowling. I mean, I respect what some of these people have done. But if I had to pick one, yeah, I love Stephen King. I think he's done some really cool things. I like J.K. Rowling's story though, that she was, penniless, and I even visited Portugal recently and saw the cafe that she went to when she would write a lot of the Harry Potter books.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
there's like a line on this cafe, and I was like, what in the world happened there? And I asked somebody, and they're like, oh, that's where Jay. And it was this huge line, and it's of course overpriced cafe. They're like, yeah, it's really expensive. You don't want to go in there, but I love that story because I can't tell you, I've hit bottom at least two different times in my life. Life's hard, and it's really hard when you're giving so much of yourself to other people. But at the end of the day, I think, I haven't led this charmed life. I wasn't a rock star at 18 or 22. I didn't come from money. The one thing that probably differentiates me from everybody is my work ethic, which I got from my dad, hardest working guy I ever met. And I outwork everybody I know. Like it's not even close. So to me, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that as a fact. And most people that know me admit that because they have one job and I have six different things I'm working on. And obviously, the music I do on the side, I have a different full-time job. The songwriter show that I host, I do on the side. So all these things I do because I love them, and I would love nothing more than to monetize things and to keep growing my fan base to be able to do it as my primary thing. And my secondary stuff that I do, I'd love to just do that for charity. That's my ultimate ambition if I had to live out my dream.
And speaking of charities, you've been a proud supporter of a number of charities, and tell us about some of the charities that you supported over the years.
Sure. So I really try to be very low key about that. With some of my other endeavors, most of the charitable stuff I've done has been anonymous because I don't want people to kind of know and say, hey, you donated this much money. With my music, I initially said I'm going to give a third of any proceeds, but as you know, music is a fickle business, and to be honest, it's not profitable because and I do most stuff myself, but at some point I want to, that's my main ambition. So I picked the American Lung Association. I suffered from asthma when I have very significant allergies. So that's important to me. American Heart Association, American Cancer Society. Like I said, my father passed away from lung cancer. So I tried to pick things that are near and dear to my heart. I let the fans pick, so the fans help me pick a different charity for each song, and that's kind of the path I'm on.
And of course, you also been generous as well too, and how you talked about you give to others and being generous and everything else. And I think the award that I saw, you got nominated for over 57 awards going back to 2014. I look, I'm like 57. I think some of us only get nominated like once or twice in our lifetimes.
Yeah, and I think there's at this point it's probably like over 70. But to me, whether I win or not, the fact I'm nominated for Songwriter of the Year or whatever the award is, or if it's a music video, I don't do stuff for the recognition. And I really do feel like every day I wake up trying to get better at my craft and what I'm doing. But it is nice to get a little validation. And I'm not going to lie, I don't pursue it. But one day my goal is to win a Grammy, because of course, even to be nominated, it's such a rare thing to accomplish, especially in today's day and age where if you're unsigned and you don't have a label, you don't have all this huge momentum behind you because it's a voting thing. People have to vote on it and they can listen to your song. I have in 2017, I had two songs that were nominated for like Rock Song of the Year that went through the process and they made it, I think, to the final 64. They didn't make it to the final eight or whatever that number is. And this year, I have something that's been nominated by a Grammy member, my Healing Christian Instrumental CD from last year that came out. So again, I would love that. I don't chase it, I don't pursue it, but it almost would give you a little validation to just feel like, okay, other people think I'm not full of it, and they like my music or they like my songs or they like my lyrics. So, at the end of the day, the thing that makes my night is when a fan says I changed your life or something touched them. I wrote a song, What If I Never See You Again? So
Right.
if you've lost a loved one, I had an elderly lady reach out to me and be like, I lost my husband a year ago. I listened to the song. It really, I was crying. So that means a lot to me. And to be honest, it means more than an award does. But at the end of the day, why do we do this? I do this because I want to keep doing it till the day I die.
Mhm. Right, exactly so, and you have a couple of new songs you just put out as well too, and talk more about that and, get some traction with the amazing Sarantos from Chicago. We'll get to that in just a minute. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by SoundCloud Studios, brought to you by official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson's Missing. Also brought to you by Illumniftically, think tank of the future. The Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, based on the life of King David, now on Amazon. And How You Tan Music, check out the latest at hightimemusic.com. We'll be back with multi-talented Chicago-based singer-songwriter Sarantos after this time out. We're back to amazing Chicago-based singer-songwriter with a story to tell. Sarantos here on the Mike Wagner Show, covering an amazing life of musical journey. 14 since 2014, multi-instrumentalist, DIY artists and more. You have two songs out there we just put out, which is "I'm Sorry, This Is the Life I Gave You" and "I Hate to See You Happy." And tell us about your two recent works.
Sure. So I'm sorry, this is the life I gave you is at the end of the day a very sad song. It's a very personal song to me. I wrote it, and I would like to say that I wrote it for other people to empathize and be in their headspace, but basically I wrote it for me on a night that I was feeling like a particularly large failure. And the song, in essence, if you listen to it, it's a very slow song. It's about the piano, but it's basically all about the vocals. So the vocals are very out there, they're very bare, they're very honest and emotional. But at the end of the day, it's a man singing to his significant other that I'm really sorry, this is the life I gave you. I feel like a failure. I can't believe you're still at my side. And it just focuses on all his anguish and anxiety about all his failures and the fact that he doesn't feel like he can provide the life she deserves. That's basically what the song's about. So it's all about raw emotion. And I think it's been extremely well received. And when you put out sad songs and slower songs, everybody wants the inspirational, happy-go-lucky song. Sometimes people kind of get annoyed. They're like, oh, this song was too slow, or I wasn't in the mood for it. But I've been very surprised. A lot of the blogs have really picked up on it, and a lot of people, I think, realize the musicianship, the lyrics, and the vocals really kind of fit together. So that
Mhm.
was the purpose to that song.
And also in times as well too, where people are going through sorrow, loss of loved ones, and especially what you hear in the news as well too. There, people are just dying off at an unbelievable rate. I mean, look at the headlines and everything else. So I completely understand that one. And also, you have another one that you just put out. It's called "I Hate to See It Happy." And tell us more about that.
Yeah, so Hate to See You Happy is the first song that I've released from a musical that I've been working on. So
Mm.
it's inspired by Andrew Lloyd Webber. If you listen to it, that's the first thing you think about. The lyrics are very witty, and you're kind of like, where's the song going? Basically, this guy starts off happy with his significant other. She breaks up with him, and he's still standing in her way, and he hates to see her happy because she's happy with someone else. So
Oh, I get it.
he kind
Okay.
of can't, yeah, he can't move on. So that's basically the premise of the song. Not stalkerish, not that he's like, doing anything evil or bad to her, but just that he just hates to see her happy, that she's moved on and he can't move on.
Mm.
So
It sounds like jealousy in a sense.
it is, but it's very playful and it's very there's some sarcasm to it. Like I said, it's for a musical that is a little bit I'm a very sarcastic, comedic kind of personality in my everyday life, and this is exactly right up that alley. So if you've ever seen like Les Miserables, there's a couple songs that that kind of reminds me of in that song, in that musical.
And you also said you're also a host as well too. Tell us more about the Songwriter Show and where can people find you if you have a podcast, and tell us more about it. How can people find your show and everything else?
Yeah, so it's called The Songwriter Show. I think we just started our 14th season, and I think we've had about 250 episodes or something like that.
Oh wow.
But it's on songwritershow.com. It's on Reality Radio 101.9. It gets streamed everywhere, so it goes on Spotify, Apple, through Spreaker, podcast.co. It goes everywhere. So they can download the episodes, listen to them when they want. And basically, it's about the inside stories to songwriters, what inspires them to write music, to write lyrics. So I've had some pretty big songwriters on there, and I've had a lot of indie songwriters. So sometimes people will email me. It runs on Tuesday nights, and they'll email me and be like, "This song sucked. This guy was terrible. They can't sing." Not every artist is a top, three artist, but it's very informative show. It's very playful, casual. Again, very honest and raw. So I think people that listen to it are either in the music industry or they're fans that want to know about the inside stories. So that's basically what the show is like.
That's interesting. Where can we find that, and where can we find your books and all your works at? Otherwise,
Yeah, so the Songwriter Show is songwritershow.com. My website is Melogia, which in Greek means with words, since I'm all about the words. So it's www.melogia.com. And if you can't remember that, if you just search my name, Sarantos, Sarantos, on the internet, you will find it on the website. If you do Google search, if you look at Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Music, I'm everywhere. And if you're not sure what to listen to on YouTube, I have a greatest hits playlist. And on Spotify and Apple Music, same thing. On my website, there's a greatest hits page where you can listen to my top songs. But I have a lot of music out there. I think last I checked, I've put out about 22 CDs.
Oh, wow.
And there are every year there's 11 to 12 songs on a CD with lyrics. And then I've always surprised fans with an extra CD that are instrumentals. Except for my first one, it was a Christmas CD. So there's just a lot of content out there, and sometimes people get kind of lost trying to figure out what to listen to. But if you're on Spotify, you can search either the greatest hits playlist or just look at it by what's been streamed the most. That's usually a good indicator.
I think that's a really good indicator too. I've been looking at like popular, oldest, everything. That's a really good site to go to. So where we find that, we'll find out with the amazing Sarantos of MTS Records here on the Mike Wagner Show. You'll also get to hear a couple of the songs at the end of the audio interview. We'll encourage you to do that. And just a few more things. What else can we expect in 2024 and going into 2025?
So, like I said, new content every week, new song, video, book chapter, poem every month till the day I die. What I really want to get back to, it's been burning a hole in my soul the last year. I really want to get back to live performances. So I'm kind of at the point in my life now where some of my obligations are kind of set. And I really, in a perfect world, every month I'd be doing a gig somewhere, Friday, Saturday, 1 or 2 days, and I would release the new song, to a live audience. And I would kind of keep touring in perpetuity if I could. As much as I'd love to, if Taylor invites me, I will gladly go on a tour with her and be her opening act. But in case that doesn't ever happen, I just want to keep touring every month. So that's kind of where I'm at. As a sole artist, it's really hard to find band members to pay them to rehearse and to pay them to gig. And I really don't want to have an instrumental and be out there singing because really what I want to do is I want to sing and I want to interact with the crowd and do some comedy and really that's kind of my thing, and I love playing off a band and hugging the guitarist and the drummer and just running around. So I really, really don't want it to just be me up there. So that's the challenge that I have.
Right.
But
And if you want to play with Taylor as well, you just have to go to Arrowhead or hook up with Travis. That's all you have to do.
well, I listen, as much as I'd like to hook up with Travis Kelce, I think Taylor would kick my ass if I made a pass at him. But I would definitely I'm a Bear fan, but Travis and Patrick Mahomes, I mean, I respect what they've done. How can you not? I mean, that it's crazy. They're so good.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but that's a injustice case as well too. And who do you consider biggest influence in a career
Musically or anybody?
in general?
My dad. My dad,
Right.
without a doubt. He inspires me to this day, even though he's been gone for over a decade now. I wanted to be him growing up. I respected him. I want everything I did, I wanted to impress him. He was such a humble guy. He just worked. He gave his whole life for me and my sister. And I look up to the sky very often, think about him. I pray for him every night. And he's definitely my inspiration.
And indeed as well. Very indeed. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Anybody within music, don't ever quit. Keep learning, keep going. Anybody that's not in music or anything, same thing. Get better every day. Whatever you want to do, I think we all need to figure out our purpose and why we're here on this planet. And I have mine figured out, and I just want to keep working towards that goal because I know what I want to do and I know how I want to change the world, and I just got to keep going. And if it never happens and one day I close my eyes, at least I'll have given it the shot that I always wanted to. Nobody can say I didn't try.
I think that's very perfect advice. Just well said. We're the amazing Chicago-based singer, songwriter, and the multi-talented Sarantos from MTS Records here on the Mike Wagner Show. Sarantos, just want to say a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Learned a lot. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'll have you back. Once again, what's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your works?
Thank you again, Mike, for having me. I totally appreciate it. The website is www.melogia.com. They can search my name, Sarantos, anywhere, and I'd be happy if they purchased autographed CDs from my website, or if they purchase, or if they just stream stuff on Apple Music or Spotify is usually where I send people.
And once again, the website again?
www.melogia.com.
Make sure you go to it today, guys, and check it out. Once again, Sarantos, a very big thank you time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We love having you back. We wish all best. And Sarantos, just want to say, you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.